Hello, I'm Nathan from Serious Geeks, and today I want to continue on the Tactica series with a look at the Captain in Phobos Armour. Ever since the combat doctrines were introduced into Space Marine armies, most players tend not to take allies simply because it removes their benefit that they get from the combat doctrine rules. As such, the traditional role of sniper that was taken up by a Vindicare assassin in many armies has been replaced in many people's army lists by the Captain in Phobos Armour. This model doesn't have to be solely used for shooting, but it is pretty much a waste of what weapons he naturally comes stock with. The option is available to replace his combat knife with various weapons from either the Chapter relics or the Space Marine Codex relics. However, as I said, this is probably not going to be utilised by you, simply because you will want to use these relics for other, probably more close combat oriented models anyway. Taking a look at the Captain in Phobos Armour, you can see his stat line is fairly powerful. He does have a reasonable close combat capacity. However, like I said, he only has a combat knife, so you don't really want him in close combat when he can be shooting and do a lot more damage. That said, he's not a pushover, so basic infantry will struggle to take him down quickly or easily. Major points to consider is he has a mastercrafted instigator bolt carbine, which is an assault 1, strength 4, AP-2 and damage 3 weapon. As it can target characters even if they're not the closest enemy unit, you can guarantee that you can get shots off at most characters no matter where they are on the table, simply because you have a range of 30 inches. Other benefits of the Captain in Phobos Armour is that he has concealed position, which means you can place him just about anywhere on the tabletop as long as he's 9 or more away from the enemy deployment zone or enemy models. This I wouldn't use to get as close as you can, but to rather get better angles to take out your targets. He also has an Omni Scrambler, which those are not familiar with infiltrators, it means that enemy units that are entering as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 inches of him. This is actually quite useful for stopping people attacking your backline and shooting units, because this is probably where your Captain will end up being to support them. Whilst we're on that subject, he does have the usual Captain rules of an Iron Halo for a 4-up invulnerable save and Rites of Battle. For those of you who may not be familiar with what Rites of Battle does, it allows himself as well as Chapter units within 6 inches to be able to re-roll failed hit rolls of 1 for all shooting and close combat attacks. The very last special rule of this model is he has a camo cloak, which means that he gets a simple +2 to his saving throw instead of +1 when in cover. So as you can see from his weapons and particular set of abilities, he is predominantly best used in a shooting role, supporting your other shooting units. Without any changes such as warlord traits, stratagem support or relics, you can see that this model is already a pretty good shooter, and he'll be able to take out enemy characters fairly consistently simply because he has a damage 3 weapon. However, 40k is often won by the player that makes the best use of all available combinations to make their army more effective on the tabletop. The Phobos Captain is definitely not an exception to this, and I would say he's a prime candidate throughout the entire list for some benefits that you can give him. The very first and obvious one that anyone might notice is the Phobos Warlord trait, Marksman's Honours. This gives him +1 to the damage characteristic of any ranged weapon, excluding grenades. Although he has a bolt pistol, at this point we're mostly talking about his Mastercrafter Instigator Bolt Carbine, which is an assault 1 weapon and as such will benefit from the tactical doctrine as well. I have already mentioned that this weapon has a damage of 3, but with the Marksman's Honours it will go up to 4, which is effective enough to take out most characters with 1 shot, at least the support characters. The more powerful characters such as Primaris Captains, most Primaris models anyway, such as Librarians or Chaplains, may take 2 shots to be taken down, but even so they'll be put down to a single wound, which is not very nice feeling for 1 shot in the beginning of the game. I don't recommend replacing this weapon simply because the mastercrafted aspect to it already makes it like a relic, so replacing it with other relics is not necessarily a good thing. Also, in the actual Space Marine Codex there aren't any weapons that can target characters that can replace this one, so as a sniper it's not worth doing. The main role of the Phobos Captain is to shoot the opponent's characters while supporting your own shooting elements with reroll 1s to hit. So this means I would therefore recommend him being deployed fairly conservatively within your own deployment zone and surrounded by plenty of friendly units. However, let's not forget he does have an Omni Scrambler, So on that basis, I wouldn't be completely adverse to putting him a little bit further forward into an area of denial that you may want to create. Just remember to make sure that there are enemy models that are not closer to him than your own models. So you want to have a bodyguard of sorts, or at least some of your friendly troops closer to the enemy than what he is, just to protect him and enable him to continue giving the buffs to your army and shoot the opponent. Finally, I'm going to move on to how individual chapters may affect him. I'm going to start off with salamanders. The chapter tactic for the salamanders enables him to reroll a single wound roll each turn. Although it would enable him to reroll a single hit roll, he is already doing so with the reroll ones to hit. However, if minuses are involved, he will get the benefit from that as well. The Master Artisan Successor chapter trait also comes in special handy here, simply because it does the exact same thing. Captain in Phobos Armour only has a strength 4 weapon, so salamander captains are very, very powerful because they can re-roll that wound roll, and against toughness 4, they would normally only wound on a 4+, but it goes from wounding on a 4+ to wounding on a 4+ with a re-roll, which becomes more likely, in fact very likely. In the tactical doctrine, the weapon is AP -3, so this makes it very powerful. They do have a stratagem called the Crucible of Battle that is only 1 command point. This stratagem allows one unit to get +1 towards its wound roll. Normally, this is best utilised by a unit with more firepower, such as Stern Guard, which already have the benefit of masterful marksmanship. However, if you do want to snipe characters very effectively, particularly Eldari Warlocks or Farseers, or even Space Marine characters, a +1 to wound means that you will be wounded on a 3, and as a salamander, you get to re-roll that as well. The next chapter that benefits from this captain is the Imperial Fists. Although their chapter trait will enable you to get a second hit if you roll a 6 to hit in the first place, this is very unlikely. However, if you do manage it, you're pretty much guaranteed a kill. Remember, a command re-roll is always available. There's only really a single Imperial Fist stratagem that can help a Phobos Captain, and that is Tank Hunters. I wouldn't really recommend this stratagem because I would rather use it for units with greater firepower, but if you do need to put an extra wound on a character that is a vehicle, this can actually help quite a lot. You should probably save it for your Centurions though, especially as it is 2 command points to use. Raven Guard, as could probably be expected, get a lot of use out of a Phobos Captain. First off, they can upgrade the Captain's Instigator Bolt Rifle to an X Tenebris for a more substantial amount of firepower. But as it adds +1 to hit rolls, which is actually better on a cheaper Lieutenant because of the Captain's already fairly useful 2+ to hit with a reroll of 1s, you're probably better off saving it for a Lieutenant all the time. The Captain does already have a stock version of a Relic Sniper Rifle anyway, so just stick to that really. The Raven Skull of Korvard does have some use, as you can get a reroll to wound with it, though the other benefits are likely not to be utilised, so I'd probably also save the relic slot on this one as well. Corvidari bolts, which do sound a bit Eldari, sorry about that. It means the captain's range is increased by 6 inches and he can shoot models hiding out of line of sight. You've got to engage Trollface if you use this one. It is actually really good. Anyway, the last chapter that really gives any benefits to this captain would be the Ultramarines. I'm afraid the White Scars and Iron Hands are not really into their sniping. Obviously a captain in Phobos Armour will help them in the tabletop. You can use the stock version pretty effectively, but they don't give any benefits from their own relics, warlord traits or stratagem support. What the Ultramarines would be able to provide him though is a reroll 1 to wound from the Censored Helm, which he wouldn't normally have, so it is quite good. Or if you're fighting against all Space Marine armies, you can get a +1 to hit and a +1 to wound in addition to that, be they traitorous or imperial. That is very effective. Bit niche, but it means that you will be able to snipe opposing Space Marines very effectively, meaning that we also have a very powerful sniper in our Ultramarines armies. Don't forget, I am an Ultramarines player. Haha. In summary, this model is a very effective boost to your shooting units and gives you a very different kind of way to play Space Marine characters, since most of them are there to either buff the models around them or fight in close combat and be a beat stick. So, I highly recommend taking one of these models every now and again, simply to change the way you play. It's great fun, and when you snipe people, instead of being sniped by the Vindicare assassins yourself, you can have a nice smile on your face. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back soon with another Tactica video. In the meantime, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye.